All right, Jeff Grubb GameSpeed here, and the Xbox One Elite controller. This is a $150 new controller from Microsoft. It works with the Xbox One, it works with the PC. I've tried it with both, and my conclusion is it's my favorite controller ever. In my review, I actually wrote it's the best controller I've ever used, and I honestly believe that. A few more basic facts about it. It comes out next week, October 27th, I believe. However, pre-orders have already sold out through like the middle of November. It's in high demand, and I think the people who have jumped on it early are going to be happy with it. So let's kind of jump into a little bit. Actually, one more thing: it does take AA batteries, but there is a separate docking charger dock. That's the word that you can get. I believe it works with both this and the standard controller. I'm checking with Microsoft on that. But yeah, let's kind of get into my feelings about it. And the word feel is kind of key there. This controller just feels phenomenal in your hands. What that means is when you first grasp it and you put it in your palms, it just melts into your knuckles, into your palms, into the length of your index finger. And it does that because it has this nice heft to it. That doesn't mean it's like overly heavy. It just means it's substantial and solid. And most of that weight is in here. It's in the base of the handles. So what that means is, combined with this rubberized grip material, try to get up there, camera's not going to focus on it, but the heft combined with this rubberized grip material means that you just kind of have to bend the knuckle of your pinky, and it just fits right in there, and it holds solid. It holds secure. It means you don't have to squeeze your hands to kind of keep on it. It means you could just have relaxed hands, relaxed fingers, and you could just focus on pressing the buttons. It's incredibly ergonomic. On top of that, the materials are really nice. So we already talked about this this rubberized plastic on the back. My cat's about to attack me. Rubberized plastic on the back, that feels great, but so does the plastic on the front. So does the stainless steel in here. So do the bumpers and everything, and the triggers, and that makes pressing the buttons feel even more exciting and satisfying than they do just because of the feedback from the clicks and the noise from the D-pad, which is the best D-pad I've ever used. I can't wait to actually go back and play like some emulator games for like NES, just to play some 2D games with this D-pad. Just the material and the feedback and the clicks, all of that just combines to make such a satisfying experience where it just becomes a part of you. On top of that, in terms of more of the build quality, everything's solid. There's no rattling. The only things that rattle are these paddles in the back, and that's just because they do come off really quickly. And because you do want them kind of sitting off the buttons so they don't accidentally press. Additionally, the USB port here, and it comes with this excellent threaded USB cord that I love. But this USB port, micro USB port on the Xbox One Elite controller, it's just so solid. You put something in there, and it locks in tight, and it's never coming loose. I could whip this thing around, and I think I'd have to do it for like 10 minutes straight before it even began to come out. It's just, everything is built to precision. And you want that for $150. Now, so yeah, it feels great. It feels like it's worth the money you're paying for it. And then on top of that, you have all the customizations. So right now, I have the standard cross D-pad and the medium, sort of DualShock 4 style convex nubs here on the analog sticks, along with all the paddles in there. But let me, again, wipe the cat hair off here. Did that in my other video. But it comes with all these other options. And that includes the standard Xbox One analog stick. But it also includes the extra tall Xbox One style analog stick. And also this more circular D-pad. Let's take the D-pad and put that on there, show what that's like. So it looks like one solid controller, you know, built like in a factory. But the truth is all these sticks and the D-pad, and I already showed you the paddles on the back, they're all on here because of magnets. So what I could do is I could just take the D-pad, just press it down a little bit, and it comes right off. And then you have sort of the green buttons underneath that you can't really press unless you have one of these things on. And then I just put that on there. Let me get it right orientation, and it just snaps right on. It just slurps with the magnets right on top of the the green D-pad underneath, and then you're good to go. And you can just take this, put it back in the case, and you have a different controller now. It works a little bit differently. That's especially useful when, let's say, you go to play a competitive shooter, and this is where the controller can actually make you maybe a little bit better at games. So, like I said, I have the medium length ones on here right now. And you can see how tall that is. But if I take that off, set it down, and just pop that on there, again, it just pops right on. And now you can see how much taller this is than that. And this is the medium-sized one. So, what this means is you can do much slighter motions with your finger to have even higher control. And so in competitive shooters, you can jack up the sensitivity of your aim. And you can either do a slight motion to have precise aiming, to try to get a headshot or something. And because you have if you have the sensitivity turned up, you can still do quick motions and turn around really quickly. So it gives you a lot more freedom. And then at the same time, you combine that with the paddles on the back. And I have it set up so this is A, B, X, Y. A, B, X, Y, so that I never have to take my thumb off of the analog stick. And I love it. It worked. I played Titanfall with it, and I was seeing a difference. My brain did have to work around using the paddles instead of the face buttons. But if I go into a new game kind of fresh, that'll be a little bit easier. And over time, this is clearly a better way. 'Cause if you never have to take your thumb off the aiming, you have a better chance of surviving. I think I want to talk about, let's see. I think the only things that I would say that I personally don't love is when you have these many options, when you have the customization, it's the paradox of choice. So I have all these different things I could do to my controller, and that gets to a point where, okay, well, what is the exact perfect thing for any one game? And you might get in a situation where I found myself in, like, setting up the controller longer than you're actually playing the game. And then once you do find something that works, if you do find that perfect controller situation for yourself, if you end up gaming one night and you want to use this as your standard controller, you paid $150 for it, you're going to want to play every game with it. It's kind of a bummer to have to, like, all right, let's go from Call of Duty to Transformers Devastation. Let me take off the paddles so I don't accidentally press anything because I'm freaking out button mashing. Let me switch the analog sticks because this one's ridiculous and tall for the camera controls. I don't need that. And it just kind of gets to a situation where it's like, okay, this is almost too much. I think that if you're like that, keep it in mind. If you're like me and you kind of treat things like that, keep that in mind before making that investment. I think a lot of you are going to say, hey, no, I know exactly what I want for each game. I also play one game more than anything else, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of switching. If that's the case, ignore me. I think then let's get on to my final sort of just minor complaint. I understand this is a pro controller. It's for pros, and pros probably don't have the Kinect. I do have a Kinect, and on the old controllers, right in here, it had an infrared sensor. That's gone. So that means when I hit the sync button, I have to actually go up to the Xbox One and hit the sync button if I'm going back and forth from my PC to my Xbox One, which I do a lot with this controller because I want to play everything with it. So the old controller, I could just sit on the couch, I'd hit it, and the Kinect would see that I'm trying to sync, and it would be like, oh, okay, yeah, I see. Great, you're synced now. With this one, yeah, you have to get up, and it's a bummer. I understand that that would just be extra parts that you don't want like throwing off the weight or the balance, but still, just for me, I would have liked it. So, I guess my final thoughts. It is great. The Xbox One Elite controller is amazing. I love it. I'm glad I have one. I'm going to use it for all of my controller gaming from now on. It's that good. But I understand that it's not going to be $150 great for some of you. And someone on Twitter was like, oh, I hate how everyone's getting hung up on the price. Like, this is an even better controller for a similar price as a Scuff and a few other kinds of similar controllers. And Microsoft's working with Scuff on this. But I think that if you are one of those people that has purchased a Scuff or has priced one out, you sort of know that this $150 is fine. Like I said, you spent $200 on your keyboard. Like, you're gonna make the leap here, and you don't really need what I'm saying to you. But there is a crowd out there that was like me, that was like, man, that controller's cool. I don't play competitively, like professionally. Do I need to spend $150 on it? And I think, as I said, if you're someone who does kind of want that benefit of a luxury item, an item that feels great to play with, if you're playing 8-hour sessions like The Witcher 3 or whatever, that's going to make a difference. That controller you'll get close to your money's worth out of it, in my opinion. So I highly recommend it. I say go for it. If you're kind of on the fence and you're not sure, I would kind of maybe nudge you towards it because it's that good. Okay, I think that sort of wraps it up. Don't have anything else to say about the Xbox One Elite controller at the moment. I think later I'm going to post some videos of some different configurations that I found that I like. And I want to share them with you and maybe get some feedback from you guys to say, hey, maybe I could do things better. I would love that. So I'm going to do that later. We'll post that on gamesbeat.com. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Like and subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll catch you later.